Hey guys, this is Life Romaniac. Well, as you might see, we will be having a very special deck profile today. Namely, the deck profile of Yami Bakura. Now, Yami Bakura, to be concrete, was defeated after the dawn of the duel in the duel monster, the last season of the Duel Monsters era. And my guess or my creative thought is now maybe he released himself somehow and was not banished onto the Shadow Realm, as he was defeated by Atom and Yugi in ancient Egypt. And he returns to be living to the GX timeline. So this is the 40 cards Yami Bakura GX deck profile. Now, he would have some improvements in his deck, of course, as he was kind of learning from his duels against Yami Marek, against Atom, and of course also the little Yugi, Muto. So he changed a little bit his tactics, not in all, but he has still this baseline of trying to summon his, on the one hand, his destiny board and his spirit messages, on the other hand, playing with the graveyard and try to put his fiend type monsters into it. But he will have improvements with this devious strategy. Now, like I said, maybe one or two or three sentences about Yami Bakura himself. One of my absolutely favorite top 3 characters of all the Yugi world, you might say. He's a very devious, cunning, and sinister character, but also I think kind of mystical, and which himself, as well as his monsters and the very fact, resembles itself in the deck in general. So yes, some improvements. Like I said, his baseline was try to put up his destiny board and then his 4 spirit messages to make a one turn kill win, or on the other hand to put fiend type monsters into his graveyard and playing with the graveyard in general, as well as to trying to summon his dark necrophere. But as like I said, it is a new timeline, so he has improved his deck with and powered it up with new cards, as well as in combination with the old ones. So we are coming to the monsters, and of course, his first monster is still the Dark Necrophere. Very, very cool artwork there. Like I said, this is the Dark Necrophere is from the Master Collection too, so it's a secret rare. It is monster with 2,200 attack and 2,800 defense. Fiend type monster, of course, a dark attribute in 8 stars, and it has an effect which works like that. It cannot be normal summoned or set, can only be special summoned by removing 3 fiend type monsters into your graveyard from play. And when the second effect is if this card is destroyed as a result of battle or by your opponent's card effect, you can equip it to one of his monsters from your opponent to equip it to it permanently in order to take control of it. As long as it is equipped with this card, you control the equipped monster from your opponent. So it has a very cool devious effect and also good stats, and is one of the boss monsters on to this deck. Was, and after my opinion will be, but there is another new version released into the TCG, which is the Curse Necrophere. The Curse Necrophere has now the reverse stats of the Dark Necrophere, which is 2,800 attack and 2,200 defense. So it's now the most powerful boss monster into this deck. Of course, still a fiend type effect monster with the Dark attribute and 8 stars. But it has another effect. It also has to be special summoned by removing 3 fiend type monsters. No, not removing three fiend type monsters, but putting 3 removed fiend type monsters back to the deck, and then you can special summon it. So it is like you can see you can combine these cards very good. If you have banished cards, you can sort it out this way. You have to have this card in first place, and if this card is maybe destroyed or something like that, and there are banished cards from your graveyard, then you can later on special summon this one as well. And the other effect of this card, of course, is during the end phase, if this card is in the graveyard because it was brought there in this turn due to a card of your opponent, you can special summon from your graveyard, and then you can destroy cards which your opponent controls until the amount of open spell and trap cards with different names which you control. That is a once per turn effect, but of course it is a reference to the spirit messages and to the destiny board, but also to a couple of other cards which you have here in this deck, like equip spell cards, but especially I think you have other continuous spell and trap cards. So I don't know if there are any equip spell cards in there, maybe. So yeah, there I think one maybe, and in the side deck there's also a couple of. But yeah, like I said, these cards you can combine, and of course you have to sort of, unless you have another possibility to banish monsters, which I did not take into account into this specific deck. What is new also on the deck, or which is an engine which I will be, or method in general, which I will be doing in the future, is I will try to really come down to 40 cards. Even if I do not succeed, maybe I'm going just for 45 cards or something like that, but not higher. In the past, I have always overpowered and took did take too much cards into the deck, so until 60 and 50, but they are not so good to play. They're good representative and to have a deck list, but yeah, the playability ain't that so good in comparison to like 40 cards. You can put your plays better into effect. Then the third of his boss monsters, and of course you all, or most of you might recognize this one as the Dark Ruler Hades. Maybe showing to the camera like the other two before. There you go. Dark Ruler Hades, like I said, Dark Ruler Hades is also one of his most powerful monsters, and it has 2,450 attack and 1,600 defense. It's also from the Master Collection. It is a 6 stars monster, also a fiend type effect monster, and dark attribute as well. So you have just to attribute one monster in order to put this card onto the field. And its effect is, as long as this card remains face up on the field, negate the effect of effect monsters destroyed by fiend type monsters on your side of the field as a result of battle. And this card cannot be special summoned from your graveyard. So every fiend type monster which destroys an opponent's monster, either flip or set or attack or defense position, and their effects are coming into play, cannot be activated. They are negated. Next up, now these two cards, bacura certainly had in this one, is of course leaned on this. It is of course TCG exclusive. It did not exist in the anime, but we can imagine it would be there. The next card is really a card that I, yeah, you might say, just brought out of my own creativity onto the field, which is Belial, the Marquis of Darkness. Now, Belial, the Marquis of Darkness, uh, is one of another boss monsters which has 2,800 attack and 2,400 defense, a dark attribute, and 8 stars. And its effect is also a feat type monster, and its effect is your opponent cannot choose any monsters from you as an attack target or for the aim of spell or trap cards, except for Belial, the Marquis of the Darkness. So this one. As long as this card is on the field, your other monsters are safe, and it has also very strong attack and defense stats. So there we go. This is number 4. And the last but not least boss monster that I have in this put into this deck is Lesser Fiend. So we got Belial there and Lesser Fiend. Lesser Fiend is a card which has 5 stars, also dark attribute and fiend type effect monster, of course. All those fiend type monsters, of course, come in handy if you have to you want to have the possibility to special summon this one. You can banish 3, and then if this is destroyed later on, you can special summon also this one by returning them into the deck. So you have also a good recycling effect. I wanted to add that fact also. Lesser Fiend is very ironically, it has 2,100 attack and 1,000 defense with 5 stars, like I said, and fiend type effect monster. This card has the effect if it destroyed any monsters from your opponent, they are all banished. So as a result of that, you might think you have on the one hand the possibility to play with the graveyard. If you look on to these cards, this one banishes, of course, but this one recycles them, and other effects will also, there will be another couple of effects which work with the graveyard, and this ironically works with the graveyard of the opponent, so it banishes the monster, or you might say prohibits from taking any graveyard effects from an opponent into effect. So yeah, it's very handy, destructive way, practical. Then I have so these were the boss monsters. We'll remove the boss monsters, and then coming to the next lineup. Now we have also the I have the Darkness Lord Maria as a card, because this card is a good this card is a good discard, because you can put it into the graveyard, either if it's destroyed by battle or from your hand to your graveyard, and then you have a possibility to gain life points 200 into each of your standby phases, and it's of course an effect which takes place in the graveyard, so it's very convenient, and it will be having, there you go, and then you it will be having a very strong bond into another card and combination, which I will be representing to you, introducing to you later on. Then after that, we of course have one of Bakura's very significant monsters, you might say, namely the name this in English. We have them in German here. It's a, I think, Skull Searching Knight. Also 4 stars, dark also dark type, a fiend type effect monster, and 4 stars. and 1900 attack and 1800 defense, so it's very strong in terms of attack stats and also defense stats. It's, I think, without an tribute or without having to give a monster as a tribute, it's, I think, the strongest monster into this deck. And it has also an effect, which is it cannot be special summoned in any way. And during the turn of any random player, if a monster effect is activated, you can tribute this card effect and then negate the activation and destroy the monster which has the effect or which just activated recently his effect. Well, I think this card is very handy, and of course, Yami Bakura played it out, and I don't know. I think maybe in the Battle City finals against Yugi. If it was quarterfinals or yeah, something like that. Then I have the Doll of Demise. Also a 4-star monster, dark attribute fiend type effect monster with 1600 attack and 1700 defense. This is a very monster which I think it was Arcana also played out and used it in combination with Ectoplasmer. I'm not 100% certain whether that was this one or Arcana had or a comparable one. But Yami Bakura used this in combination with Ectoplasma. That one I know is very concrete. Yeah, and then the effect of Ectoplasma was activated. Oh, and I forgot, of course, this has an effect which works like that. During the next standby phase, after this card is has been put into the graveyard by a permanent continuous spell card, you can special summon from the graveyard. So if, for example, you use the effect of Ectoplasma and destroy this one and put damage onto your opponent, then you can special summon. So it's like a very cunning recycling effect, and then next time again and again and again. So I'm just searching for the Ectoplasma card. And here somewhere, I don't know. There we go. Put it back into the deck. Just a sec. Well, like I said, Yami Bakura's cards in general are very tricky. And yeah, you have the darker tone with it, with the fiend type monsters, of course. And he also does possess zombie type monsters, so it's not just fiend type based, but most of them are fiend type monsters. And the next of it is Emissary of the Afterlife, which is a 4-star monster with dark attribute and fiend type effect, also fiend type. 1600 attack and 600 defense. The effect works like that: if this card is put from the field to the graveyard, every player selects one normal monster with a level of 3 or fewer from his deck, shows to his opponent, and take it back onto his hand, and then the decks are shuffled. So there you go. This one. Then I have this card. He I think he did not take it into the bell of any of the arcs. I think it is very inspired of Bakura and his bells. Yeah. But these two, he also didn't especially play out, but they are inspired by yeah, you might say, spirit of a spell card which he possessed, namely the Dark Ghost of Banishment, and the Dark Ghost of Maleficence, and the Dark Ghost of Banishment. Well, these two are also fiend type effect monsters with 3 stars each and dark attribute each also. and 1600 attack and 0 defense. These are two cards. I don't know if you can see it very properly. Are inspired by the spirit of the Dark Sanctuary. Yeah, and they have, I think, a similar effect with the Dark Spirit of the Maleficent has the effect if your opponent has a card or effect activated. This is some quick effect. You can um, discard this card from your hand or put it uh, from your side to the graveyard, and then take one fiend type monster with level 8 from your graveyard and special summon it, but its effects are negated if one or more fiend type monsters with a level of 8 has been destroyed, put to the graveyard, as long as this card is in the graveyard. I mean, this card. Except during the damage step, you can take this card back into your hand, and it's a once per turn effect. I think the Dark Ghost of Banishment has a similar effect. No, it's if this card attacks on the beginning of the damage step, you can uh, discard this card from the hand or to the graveyard, or from the field to the graveyard, and then choose one fiend type monster with level 8 from your graveyard and special summon it, but its effects are negated. And if you do it, you can change the attack target onto this one, onto the. Oh, sorry, no, not if this card attacks, but if a monster of your opponent attacks, then you can put this card from your hand or from your field to the graveyard, and then special summon an 8 level fiend type monster from your graveyard, and then change the attack target onto that one. And then if one or more fiend type monsters with level 8 are put into your graveyard, as long as this card is in your graveyard, except for during that damage step, you can take this card from the graveyard to your hand, and it's also it's per turn effect. Well, yeah. Next up, we have Gurnia. Gurnia is a card which he played out, I think, into the duel against Yami Merrick. It's a zombie type monster. 4 stars, dark attribute, 1300 attack and 1200 defense. And its effect works like that. If this face up card is destroyed and disintegrated by an opponent's card effect, special summon it to you during your next end phase. So also, like these three, also an effect which works with the graveyard. As a Dollar of Demise also. Yeah, and and the Night Skull also with the graveyard, working with the graveyard, and the Emissary of Afterlife also working with the graveyard. So it's like I said, this deck has 3 baselines: one graveyard engine, one bringing your spirit messages along with your Destiny board, and of course the Dark Sanctuary in combination. And the third one is working with Dark Necrosphere, and of course slash now the newer version, the Curse of Necrosphere. Then I have a Necrophase. I don't know if you guys realize it quite. Oh yeah, here we have Gurnia from Champions Pack, an ultra rare. I don't know if you guys realize it, but Dark Necrosphere has a doll in his hand. There you go. And this doll looks very similar. Also the Curse of Necrosphere. In his hand, there's a doll. I don't know if you see it there. There we go, with the 2 eyes. Yeah, Dark Necrosphere also has it. Very significant there. Yeah, this doll looks very similar to the Necrophase, except for the very fact that it looks like there will be coming out some, I don't know, cancer or tentacles from a m- monster animal or bacteria or something like that. So it looks very suspicious to me. Uh, on the one side, suspicious, but on the other side, it is very disgusting, to my opinion. Yeah, and it has also, of course, is also a zombie type, dark attribute, 4-star monster, 1,200 attack, 1,800 defense. So it's also with 1,800 defense. It is a good defense measure. Also, if you set it onto the field, then you have your good defense uh, possibility on option, and also to stall a little bit, of course, until your opponent gets a better monster card onto the field. It's a goat deck. I might add that information that it's not working with the lineups of the normal meta today. If you have an 1,800 defense monster, they overcome it very quickly with building an overwhelming synchro and link monster board. So that's of course a good goat format deck. And it also has an effect, a zombie effect, which if this works like that, if this card is normal summoned, you mix all banished cards onto the decks of the owners, and this card gets 100 attack for each of these cards. So if you have the possibility with Lesser Fiend and Dark Necrophy, Lesser Fiend removes all the monsters which it destroyed, banishes it from the field, and Dark Necrophy, of course, banishes some other monsters from you, and then this card gets 100 attack for each of them. And then there is another effect. If this card is removed from play, both of you players have to put the top 5 cards and banish them from your deck from play. So it has on the one hand an effect which takes advantages of cards which are banished from the field, and on the other hand, it banishes uh, himself also. So it has also destructive effect for the opponent. But yeah, you have the downside. The upside is just what I mentioned, and the downside, of course, that you also have to put five of your top cards onto the graveyard. Now the third and last zombie monster which he possesses is Goblin Zombie. I mean, like now the Bakura in the GX timeline. This card he had also, I think, either during the battle with Yami, I call it also always the underdog battle of Battle City, because it was not a non-official Battle City duel, in which did take place into the Shadow Realm. In the Shadow Realm, and yeah, I think it was one of the most horrific, cool battles that all of the Duel Monsters era possessed. And I think, I'm not sure, maybe it was during that battle that he put Goblin Zombie, or it was during the battle with Bones in the cemetery, but I'm not very sure about that one. Yeah, this is a zombie type monster as well, with a dark attribute 4 stars, 1,100 attack, 1,050 defense, and also a zombie effect. Zombie type monster with effect. If this card puts battle damage to your opponent, you can put the top card of your opponent onto graveyard, and if this card um, is put from the sent from the field to the graveyard, then you can put one zombie type once 1,200 or fewer defense from your deck to your hand. So it does not work with Necrophase, but with Gurnia. So you have this combination right there. you might say. Yeah, now this all to his zombie lineup, 3 zombie type monsters. We will be going up the ranks on the fiend type monsters he possesses. Of course, he possesses Sangan, a card which he used against. That's so very. I think it was in the even in the dual monsters era, which is of course is in fiend type monsters with an effect 3 stars and dark attribute, which you can of course, for example, combine with the emissary of afterlife. If it is put into the graveyard, you can take Sangan from the deck to your hand, for example. With 1000 attack and 600 defense, it is rather a weak monster, but you have to put it from the field to the graveyard, because of course also this is a graveyard effect, and you can take one monster from your deck with 1500 attack or fewer from the deck to your hand. Then another fiend type monster which he did not play out but is very leaned on his last deck in the season of the Dawn of the Duel. He had many necro monsters in it, and one which is leaned on this deck. I don't know if he actually possessed it. I think he did not, but I'm not sure about that one. There will be also coming up another Dawn of the Duel Yami Bakura deck profile from my side, and maybe another one from a later timeline, maybe or another possibility to put a variant of deck profile from Yami Bakura with more of his last dual arc, you might say, because this you might say is a Yami Bakura GX timeline deck number 1, because I have in store for you guys that I put up another deck profile which is more based onto the monsters he used in the last arc, in comparison to that one which is rather based on the first and second arc, the Duelist Kingdom era and the Battle City era. Now, Necro Defender was the very one I was just speaking about. Necro Defender has 2 stars, dark attribute, 0 attack and 800 defense. It's a fiend type monster, of course, and it has, of course, a good effect. Which is during your main phase, you can banish this card from the graveyard to choose one monster which you control onto the next end phase of your opponent. The monster cannot be destroyed by battle, and you get not any battle damage out of battles with this monster that you choose. So it's also very good defensive measure. You have a graveyard possibility, and it's a defensive defense effect. Then I have some other monsters which are not fiend types, but before we come to that, I think the only vanilla monsters which I still led into that deck was Headless Knight, 1450 attack, 1700 defense. Ain't that bad of a defense stats. 4 stars, but an Earth type monster, but it's a fiend Earth attribute. It's a fiend type monster. Then I put in there a card which he did not have. Is this Dark Ruler of the Abyss. 3 stars, dark attribute, and button fiend type monster with 1200 attack and 800 defense. If you want to have the possibility and option to put more of your fiend type monsters into the graveyard to bring your dark necrophilia sooner or later onto the field, then it's very logical in that sense to have weak monsters which you can put into to the graveyard, or put into the graveyard by your opponent. It's attacks. I did not add the very weak ones like Soul of the Forgotten, which is 900 attack and 200 defense, because you might get damage if you maybe they are put into the attack position by another card effect of your opponent or something like that, then you might lose too much. So I just took those into it, and I have still the Gross Ghost of the Flat Dreams, 1300 attack, 1800 defense. So you can also, of course, set this card, and then you don't have this problem. Even if it is put to the attack position by, I don't know, maybe stop defense or something like that, then you have do not lose that much uh, life points as in comparison to, I think, Souls of the Forgotten. I think it's not that serious to put vanilla monsters with fewer than 1000 attack into your deck. And like I said, it's a takes place in the GX timeline, this deck, after my scenario, and I think the GX timeline wasn't the decks weren't that much more powerful than in the Dual Monsters era, but still a little bit, I would say. And so as a result of that, you shouldn't be too weak monsters in there. Yeah, a dark attribute 4 stars, fiend type monster, of course. And last but not least, card which has, of course, very, very much support, and a whole deck theme about it is the Earthbound Spirit. As we have the Earthbound topic above it, which I will be having also a concrete deck profile about. But yeah. Okay, Earthbound Spirit is a very good defensive measure as it has 2000 defense. It's in dark attribute, no, it's an Earth attribute 4 stars, and of course in fiend type monster also, and a very good defense lineup after my opinion. Now there's the last vanilla monsters which he had. The last 2 monsters which I also have in the deck because he obviously had those is one, the Morphing Jar, and 2, Jaugener Spiritist. Morphing Jar, a very good possibility to have draw power into that deck, and of course you have to discard cards and put them into the graveyard, so it's very handy for this deck. Jaugener Spiritist, working with special summoned monsters. This is a light attribute 3 stars monster with just 200 attack but 1300 defense. It's a spellcaster, the only spellcaster into that deck. It has that effect: if you discard 1 card from your hand, you can destroy all special summoned monsters, which also in the meta and the TCG meta, it's very, very handy because most of the monsters are special summoned by any effects, and then you can just discard 1 card and then destroy them all. And as long as this card is face up onto the field, and even if it is in the defense position, no monsters can be special summoned. I know that Yami Bakura used this card against Yugi in the Battle City Finals. It was, I think, his last resort against Yugi's special summoning, or summoning, I think, in general. I'm not sure how it worked in the anime. Yeah, but those were his monsters. Now we're coming to his spell cards. I put in there a very significant Kaiba card, which is Card of Demise. Now the anime effect of this spell card is I think you can draw onto 5 cards, and then you have to remove all of them in 5 turns, which is of course much more stronger and overpowered than the one of today, because it has an errata and it's like working like that. You can draw until you have 3 cards in your hand, and your opponent gets no damage from anything until the rest from this turn on until the end phase. You have to discard a whole hand, and then you can, it's once per turn effect. and during this phase that this card has been put into effect, you cannot special summon any monster. So it has, of course, two downsides, but I think it's a good trump card. If you don't have any cards in your hand, then you can draw three, and then maybe you remove then at the end phase one. You can also, yeah, then use two of them still. Very good. I have another card which is an TCG support card. You have also the Dark Necrophilia onto the front, which is called Possession of the Dark Spirit, which works like that. You have discard one card from your hand, and to put one Destiny board or one Fiend type monster with level 8 from your deck or your graveyard onto your hand. You can banish this card from the graveyard, except for the turn in which it is put into the graveyard. Um, take one random amount of Destiny board and spirit messages with different names from your hand and your graveyard, and random row onto you under your deck, and then you can draw the same amount of cards which you just put into the under your deck, and it's also once per turn effect. So this one gives us a drawing power possibility also. If you remove spirit message or ghost, spirit message or the destiny board, on your hand or in the graveyard, you can put him back onto the deck and then draw better cards, maybe to have a better attack position or defense position lineup. It's also very cool. Then I have Spiritism, a card which also has a clear before I forget it, the eight level fiend type monster is of course a reference to Dark Necrophilia or Curse of Necrophilia. Spiritism also, if you see on the artwork, it's a very clear reference to the spirit from the Dark Sanctuary, either or the Dark Spirit of the Silent. And it's a good possibility to. It works a little bit like Giant Trunade, just with one spell trap card, which you can put back into your opponent's hand, and then or to the respective player's hand, whose spell or trap card it ever is. It might be. And the activation of the effect of this card cannot be negated. So it's very good, because if you play that one out, then maybe he or she got some cunning trap or spell card, and you can put it onto the deck and then attack. So, and it cannot be negated. So it's very, very convenient. Further on, a very key central card to this deck, Dark Sanctuary, which I just recently talked about. Look at that artwork. It also always gives me the goosebumps if I'm looking onto it, with the devious, sinister eyes into the darkness, skies and clouds, and with the very dark glow of this castle in front of the picture. Yeah, I think it's very, very, very cool artwork. Yeah, and it, of course, is a field spell card, which works like that. If you have an spirit message or destiny board laying on your side of the field, you can special summon it as a normal monster, and if you do it, it's not affected by any card effects, except of course of the effect of destiny board, and it cannot be chosen as an attack target. So if it stays there, you cannot destroy it by battle. You cannot put any card effects into play which might destroy it. The attack, of course, cannot be prohibited in general, so it's a direct attack on your life points. But yeah, if you do it a couple of times and you have other possibilities to maybe have a monster onto the field like Earthbound Spirit, then it's a good defense measure also, which you have countermeasure. And if a monster of your opponent declares an attack, you can put a coin onto the play, and if the result is heads, then you can block the attack. So we even had some block attack possibility in it contained. And if it the coin says heads, then you can put the damage which you just would have received onto the half of it of the recent monster which your opponent controls onto his life points. Very cool effect, and I just thought about to put twice into this deck. I didn't, but maybe in the other one I will. If there will be another deck profile, Yami Bakura second deck, you might say, in the JX timeline. Then I have Offerings to the Doomed. Of course, a very good effect because this is a quick spell card. You can then destroy one open a face-up monster of your opponent. Then you have your skip your draw phase. Sorry. Premature Burial, a staple, of course. I mean, he had this one. It's mechanics to put one of your monsters from your graveyard and put it back to the field. Of course, recycling method, but you have to pay 100 life points for it. Then I have, of course, there you go. Of course, I do have the Destiny board along with the 4 spirit messages. And of course, and then I will be coming to the trap cards then later on. The Destiny board. Yeah, these 4 spirit messages can only be placed onto the field if the Destiny board is there on the field before. So yeah, you have to wait if you have them into the hands. But as I said, I have, of course, control of the Dark Spirit. And you have also the possibility to put these on back onto the deck and then recycle, then draw other cards. Maybe you have the Destiny board out first. And I will be explaining the effect of Destiny board then later on along with these. So I'm putting these for later. Yeah, Shallow Grave, a card which he, I think, had and took into the battle against Bones into Cemetery. It has the effect to special summon one monster each of the players and face down defense position, of course. Then Ectoplasmer, which I recently talked about along with Doll of the Mice. You can, both of the players, this is a continuous spell card, can at the end phase offer one monster and then put the life points as damage equal to the half of the life points onto your opponent. Yeah. Then I have the Dark Door, which is a very, 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 very good stalling and also blocking, or you might say control, stopping strategy in order to, if you are in defense, having defense posture, and you can prevent your opponent from attacking with too much monsters. He or she has just the possibility to attack once per turn because Dark Door is a permanent spell card, which Yami Bakura used against Yugi in the Battle City Finals. Uh, yeah, but and the downside is of course during each battle phase, uh, just one monster can attack. So you also have the downside that it also blocks you, but it can save you from losing the battle. So it's very handy. Uh, then I put in there a card which I think might also work with the spirit theme, which is Curse of Royal, which blocks a spell or trap card from your opponent, negates its effect, and destroys it onto the trap cards. We know about the trap cards. Dark Spirit of the Silent and Earthbound Spirit, which has all a comparable effect. Dark Spirit of the Silent, of course, you can just put this card into play into the damage step of your opponent. You can uh, negate one attack and then choose another attack target for your opponent. And if the now new attack target is in defense position, you can put it into the attack position. It's very, very cool blocking, and as well as um, yeah, just a blocking technique, but also removing the threat from attack onto you and giving it your opponent instead. Earthbound Spirit, also comparable, like I said. If your opponent attacks, then you can choose the attack target. So you might even choose him, and yeah, I think what was like that in the anime. Yeah. Then I have Dark Attribute, a card which I thought might be also very practical, as it has the effect if your opponent has a card activated or an effect which would destroy one or more cards onto the field, then you can negate that effect and take one dark attribute monster with a level 3 or fewer from your deck to the graveyard. So also on the one side saves your monsters from being destroyed, or your cards in general, and then the other hand you can put one of your weak fiend type monsters to the graveyard, and then maybe later on put your Dark Necrophilia's effect into play. Then multiple destruction, another tactics in order to help to draw your possible cards, which then might help you to put your strategies into effect. But it works like that. You do if has the condition if two players have 3 or more cards in their hand, then you can put the cards in a random row under your deck, and then you additionally lose life points equal to the total amount of the effect, which put back to the under the deck plus 300. So you have to per card that you have put onto your deck as well as under your opponents, you lose 300 life points. And then every player can draw 5 cards. So it's a very good possibility to um, yeah, get into your good cards which you might need and put them into play. Then uh, I think it is called Demise or Punishment of Demise or something like that. Just to watch because I don't know. The English translations are not always compatible with the German names, so I'm sometimes forgetting about the names of the regular cards. Uh, Sentence of Doom, of course. Sentence of Doom. You have the Dark Necrophere along with the Destiny board uh, onto that artwork. It's an TCG support card for the Dark Necrophere and Spirit Message slash Destiny board theme. Coming out into the, I think, Legendary Duelist Immortal Destiny, which has, of course, the Yami Bakura on its front. And it works like that. It's a permanent trap card. You can put one random amount of fiend type monsters and choose them, which are banished or in your graveyard, onto the uh, amount of Destiny board and Spirit Messages cards which you control. Put it on them onto your hand. I mean the fiend type monsters, and the you can put this card from the spell and trap zone to the graveyard and take one spirit message from your hand, your deck, or your graveyard and put it onto your spell and trap zone. And this card effect is declared as an effect from Destiny board, and it's treated that way, and it's also in once per turn effect. Also, an option to put your last but not least card, the Destiny board. Now we have it. There we go. Oh, I had it wrong way last time. Final. No. Now it's right. Now the Destiny board has a possibility to bring on every end of every turn a spirit message card from your hand or your deck open onto the field in the, of course, right row. INAL, of course, F first and foremost. And then shuffle your deck, and if the spirit messages INA and L are along with the Destiny board onto the field, you are becoming automatically the winner of this duel. Yeah, and if one of the cards is removed or destroyed and put into the graveyard, then all of them are destroyed. So it's also has, of course, a downside. Now, this was the 40 card Yami Bakura GX timeline deck profile part 1. But he also possesses a. Sorry, guys. He also possesses a side deck. The side deck of this deck contains some of the cards which you might recognize from the duels he had or he was in. The Duke of Demise, of course, one of his vanilla monsters, but he has requires one tribute with 2000 attack and 700 defense, and of course Secret of the Portrait with 1200 attack and 1500 defense. He's an this one has an earth attribute and 4 stars. This one has a dark attribute and 5 stars, but they are both fiend type monsters. Then I also have in there the puppet player. I think that was all about his monsters that I had in here. Now, these two cards are, of course, another possibility to put more have fiend type monsters onto your deck. You can exchange maybe one, but this one was, I think, the weakest of the vanillas, and this was the strongest of the vanillas. But I have enough cards which require tribute, so I put it out in there. And this one, the puppet player, works like that because I have also another strategy which I think if Yami Bakura survived to until later duels, he might have an um, other possibility to combine uh, um, cards. If he has to face another one of the Egyptian god cards, then he has you have to put the puppet player onto the field. Then you can special summon two by offering 2,000 life points from free type monsters from your graveyard. They just cannot attack, but you can then banish, tribute them, and then put maybe if you have then an Egyptian god card in your hand, then you can tribute him and then put one of the Egyptian god cards onto the field. He used that strategy against Yami Marek, but it wasn't incomplete as Ra, the Winged Dragon of Ra, would have zero attack and defense because Yami Marek put some, I don't know, was a trap card or a spell card into effect. And along with that possibility, of course, he used exchange and the dark designator. Well, dark designator and exchange, um, he stole one of his Egyptian god cards and then he put it his he put it from his deck to his hand, called his name out, and then um, he exchanged it. In his side deck, I put another possibility. Maybe he would have this Egyptian god card in his graveyard. Then you can put it from the graveyard to his deck, from his deck to his hand, and then exchange it and bring it to your hand, and then you can bring the puppet player later on, and then pay 2,000 life points and put two cards, special summon two monsters from fiend type onto the field and tribute them, and then you can put the Egyptian god card onto the field. So that's a possibility. Then of course, um, I had this thought or the mind games that he played. Also, a very strong 3 card or 4 card combination. How you might see it, I think this was 3 card combination, but I have also Informant of the Underworld, which works like that. You have pay 1,000 life points, then call out a tribute and the type of a monster. Then your opponent has to put one monster with the type and attribute from his hand or deck to the graveyard. This works good if you know the deck from the opponent, from his lineups maybe. Not too good if you're going first or something like that. And also then the Herald of the Abyss. You have to pay 1,500 life points and then declare one monster type and one attribute. Your opponent has to uh, take one monster with the declared type and attribute from his side of the field onto the graveyard if possible. Yeah, and for the rest of the turn, your opponent cannot put effects of monsters with this name, which is put into the graveyard into effect. Also once per turn attack. So with this one, you don't even have to know the monsters which he has in his deck or in his hand, but you just have, no matter which monster type and attribute, if it's a strong one, then you can put it into the graveyard. And of course, if it was, for example, Winged Dragon of Ra or Slifer or something like that, then you can put with this combination from the graveyard to the deck, from the deck to the hand, and then exchange it from his hand to yours. So it might be in uh, um, 4 card combination. And this card and this one, they work like similar, but this one is more concrete. No, from this one, this works with graveyard. No, with hand and deck. So deck and hand, but hand. This one puts it into graveyard, and this one puts it back from the graveyard to the deck, and this one puts it from the deck to your hand, and then there, yeah, has your from his hand to your hand. So yeah, you might see what I had in mind. And then Pot of Greed, I thought is a staple, drawing power. Tribute to the Doomed as a possibility to, of course, um, destroy a monster by then discarding one maybe fiend type monster, put it to graveyard. Monster Reborn, also another staple. Change of Heart, I thought he hated this card because it was a card of um, the Rio Bakura, the normal Bakura. Yeah. Then I have Veil of Darkness. Now, this one is a very good possibility during the draw phase. If you draw a dark attribute monster, then you can show it, put it into the graveyard, and draw another card. Like I said, it's just now 40 cards, but maybe if I put 2 or 3 more in it, then I will put this one also in the deck because it's very, very, very handy. Yeah. Then I think I have Barrel Behind the Door. Now you get effect damage due to multiple destruction. I have it 2 times in there because I have 2 of these and also another multiple destruction, another one in there in this main deck. Because I thought if you have to pay life points, then you could put that effect damage or the damage onto your opponent with Barrel Behind the Door. Bottomless Trap Hole, a possibility to, of course, destroy a monster with 1500 attack and banish it from the field. Call of the Haunted. There's no place in here. Yeah. Call of the Haunted, of course, to special summon one of your opponent's monsters. He had saw this card, I think, maybe against Bones. And last but not least, Call of Darkness, which works against the measure or the possibility of Monster Reborn. He had the experience that Yami Marek put Monster Reborn and did take back the Winged Dragon of Ra. So maybe if he had this stealing method strategy with the exchange spell card and the other ones that I just showed you, I think, which were there? Yeah. Herald of the Abyss and how it is called, I think, Foolish Return, Dark Designator, and of course Exchange. And the other ones, Herald of the Abyss and Informant of the Underworld. Maybe if he then has a Monster Reborn and wants to bring back one of his Egyptian god cards, then you can block it because Call of Darkness blocks Monster Reborn, and Monster Reborn cannot be activated. Well, this was this. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Hit the like and the subscribe buttons. Stay tuned for more content, and of course, put in commentary under the video and tell me which possibility you might have in mind, maybe of Yami Bakura GX deck. Like I said, this one will be part 1. I will be putting up another one because I'm a great Yami Bakura fan, you might say, at least fan from his deck. Yeah, and tell me what is your opinion about this one. Yeah, I think it was very cool, and yeah, it took me a while to gather all the cards, and it made a lot of fun. But building it and combining all those things, but certainly it's also a lot of work because if you have just put it in or just combined it with 40 cards, there was something that was a little bit new to me. And of course, then test hands and all those stuff. I will be doing test hands from now on. I did test hands with this one also. I mean, with all them all together, but not with the 40 cards. I might use it maybe one day. Yeah, stay tuned for more content. I think that was it for today. I hope you guys liked it, and good night or good day. Your Slifer Maniac. Bye.